You keep dwelling in the past. You will remain in the past. Can I get a fucking yeah?
Good day, gentlemen. This is a pre-recorded briefing made prior to your departure.
Hey, what's happening?
Which, for security reasons, of the highest importance, has been known on board during the mission.
Oh, I'm good? Okay.
Now that you are in Jupiter's space, and the entire crew is revived, it can be told you. 18 months ago, the first evidence of intelligent life off the Earth was discovered. It was buried 40 feet below the lunar surface, near the crater Hakim. Except for a single, very powerful radio emission aimed at Jupiter, the 4-million-year-old black monolith has remained completely inert. Its origin and purpose still a total mystery.
Cool. You know, I was thinking, Mike, what we should do is I should have you on the podcast. That was better, dude.
all gorilla theme.
I'm the man, yes sir, to kill the bear barehanded so the people won't forget it. Getting money for I would label the drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the pack of Lewiz.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the bear if we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. We still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dallas rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody grinding together, we all came from hunger pain.
Whoo! Late ill kid at OneYoungsta, holding it down, bringing that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. What is up, my people? Today, it's Moon Knight, y'all. All right, see, I'm gonna tell you, I was supposed to talk about Moon Knight last week, but my schedule said, you ain't talking about nobody. My schedule said, you think you're gonna talk about Moon Knight, but what you gonna do is get your butt out of the studio and do something else. But now, I am joined by two awesome gentlemen and a possible third. I'm going to get it started off right now so we can talk about the goodness and or badness of Moon Knight. In the bottom square, I met this guy. He asked me to talk about Star Wars, and we've been cool ever since. That's the best way to start a friendship. He asked me he was like, do you want to talk about Star Wars? I said, sure, cool. And then ever since then, it's been awesome. Jay Shearer of the Story Geeks, what's up?
Yeah, it's good to be here. And it's always good to talk about Star Wars or Marvel with you. I always have a good time. So I'm glad to be here.
Cool. And then right over here, I can't remember what we talked about first. I know it's probably some geek stuff, is because this guy has opinions that they rub people the wrong way from time to time. And he seems to enjoy it. But he's also super cool, very knowledgeable, and just happens to run a distribution for comic books. I mean, the guy makes comic books, distributes comic books, draws all kinds of stuff. I give you 133 Arts, Jason Reeves.
Hey, what's up? I mean, unpopular opinions are my thing. And comics as well. What's up, y'all?
So, let's start it with this. Moon Knight, you finished the last scene. You know, you got everything is done. The credits are done. How are you feeling? Let me throw it to Jay. How are you feeling?
Oh man, I will say that this is probably, I felt the most conflicted of any Marvel Disney Plus show thus far, because there were elements of this show that I thought were amazing. And then there were elements of this show that I'm still confused about. Even the way they ended it and not announcing a season 2, I'm like, I don't understand, man. Like, what have you done? What have you done? So I'm a little bit all over the map on this one. I can go. There's certain things that I can talk about for hours, and there's other things that I'm like, I don't know what they were trying to do. I'm not sure what they were trying to say. So, but I enjoyed it overall. Overall, I liked it actually better, because I had the privilege of being on this show twice in the same week. So thank you for having me. But I liked Moon Knight better than I liked Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is probably controversial. But personally speaking, I liked it a little better.
That's a bold statement, Cotton.
Oh man. Oh Lord. Okay. Well, Jason, same to you.
I'm actually the reverse of that. I actually enjoyed Multiverse of Madness like a lot. Like it was my favorite Marvel thing in recent history, I guess. Moon Knight, yeah, I kind of agree with you, Jay. Like, it is uneven,
Yeah.
like to say the least. Um, I don't know what they were trying to do. I don't know what was going on with that last episode. I don't know what was going on through most of it. I don't know. I was kind of bored, but I mean, you know, it was. I'm gonna say it's uneven before we start actually reviewing it.
Okay. For myself, when it finally ended, part of me was like, I don't want to see this guy again. But then another part was like, okay, so I guess I liked like 2.5 episodes out of the 6. So I guess I'm middle of the road, maybe. But I still kind of put it in the same box with WandaVision, where it's like, I don't need to watch this again. Like I don't really feel like I need to watch this. Like nothing in my mind is like, I need to go back and study that part. So that's the thing where I put it. Middle of the road, but not enough for me to want to go back. So let's open it up. Let's go on and dive into it. Moon Knight is out. You've kind of seen it as a piece of art by itself and with the larger tapestry of Marvel. One, do you care about it? And two, do you think he'll matter on a larger scale later on? And either of you can pick that up.
I think they went out of their way promotionally to say, well, this is its own thing, and it, you know, we don't need the Marvel, you know, team up stuff going on in this one, you know. And I think they kind of did themselves a disservice though. Like, I feel like having it be more cohesive with the entire MCU, and maybe a cameo would have like spiced it up a little bit. I kind of feel like, okay, if I had to, like, I agree with you. Like, I probably won't ever go back, and a lot of it is, I think, even though I manage my expectations a lot for these Marvel shows, because I mean, to me, I'm like 80-20 almost with them, but like, they kept saying stuff like, promotionally, they kept saying stuff like, he's gonna be so violent. I mean, think about Daredevil, and you know, and we don't need to, and I didn't find it that violent actually. Like, they cut away from the violence a million times, and it kind of, you know, it kind of messed up, you know, the flow of it. For me personally, so yeah, I don't think he matters in the greater universe of Marvel. Like, I don't think it matters.
Going with that, I made a statement, like a kind of a passing statement at the end of talking about Doctor Strange, like kind of like, where's the MCU at now and things of that nature, and basically saying like, Marvel is, if this is what you guys are going to do with the Marvel Knights, like, you know, Moon Knight, Punisher, Blade, stuff like that, just, I'd rather you save it. Just make something else, because if we're not going to get Moon Knight being, I don't want to do the thing. Remember the first Godzilla movie, the new trilogy. First Godzilla movie, whenever something cool would happen, they'd be like, let's cut away and look at the humans. I'm like, I don't care what they're doing. The name of the movie is Godzilla. I paid for Godzilla. Can we go back to Godzilla? It's already nighttime, and I can barely see what you're trying to do. But can you please go back to Godzilla fighting the little spider crazy things? All right, that's what I want to see.
You got to watch Godzilla on someone else's television in the movie.
And the violence. Okay, they showed that one clip where he's in the bathroom beating up the Demogorgon or whatever, like the jackal. Yeah. All right, so
but they cut away from that.
They cut away from that, and I was thinking, oh well, you know what? Moon Knight is real, you know, violent and bloody. This is because it's the promo. You don't want the kid to accidentally click on this and then see that in the show. Surely we'll get tons of, action and hard-hitting violence. And this is what I expected from the Marvel Knights. And maybe Disney needs, I know they've brought on the Marvel Netflix and they've changed the parental guidance stuff so that you can watch your Marvel Netflix, but Marvel Netflix did things a certain way in a way that I think the Marvel Knights should be done. And what I mean by this, Disney, I know you watch, I know y'all be watching, lurking in there doing, I understand. When you think of Marvel Knights, I want you to think of the scene where Kingpin tries to put a hit on Punisher while he's in jail. That's what I want you to think of. That's the Marvel Knights. Like, when he sent those dudes out and Punisher was, that's Marvel Knights. That's what we want to see. Look, man, Blade, we already got first thing. Hey, look, Blade 1 and 2, straight classic. Now, Blade 3, can't hit all of them out the park. You know what I'm saying? Even Spider-Man 3 won't all that. So before people start talking, you know what I'm saying? But Blade 1 and 2, classic. All right? This is what we want from Marvel Knights. If you can't do that, I understand. But don't give me don't give me Diet Coke. Just give me Coke. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm gonna be like, I don't want this silver can. I don't want this. I want the red. Where's the red one? I want the real thing. but Jay, how you feeling?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're onto something. That's not even something that I had picked up in my review when I talked about the whole series. I didn't even think about the violence, but one of the things that I brought up in my review is directly related to that, because what I brought up was the tone feels off a lot. Like a bunch of people I heard were saying that episode 5 was their favorite. And I'm like, episode 5 is my least favorite. There's so many logical inconsistencies with how episode 5 actually even is tied together. But one of the things I disliked tonally about episode 5 is that it is a serious episode where he's not only dealing with his mental illness, but also he's dealing with his past. And then you throw in a hippopotamus god for comedy. And I just felt like that was so in a show where it felt like they were trying to say it's dark and violent, like you guys are both saying, and then also say, yeah, but we have some comedy thrown in that's almost more like kiddish comedy. Even the moment where in the season finale where Layla shows up and saves the van full of people. And then there's a kid that says, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" Right? So even then it's draw in the kids. So I think, yeah, it's 100%. If this had been a series that had been, Daredevil's still one of my favorite TV shows in the history of television. I love Daredevil. So I would be on board if we went in that direction for sure.
Yeah, when she popped those wings, I was like, we about to sell some toys, ain't we? You selling toys? Is that what we're doing? Do I need to go to Target.com right now?
And the weird thing about the hippo goddess showing up in at the end was the only piece of comedy in the whole episode. Yes. She just shows up and she's waving like this. And it was very weird. And the whole show kind of does that. They don't know what they want to do, and I kind of get that from the director too, because throughout the run of the show he's doing interviews and he's like, this is like Thor, and then one day he's like, no, this is like Captain America, no, this he's just all over the place with all of the stuff, and you can tell too from the last episode, because then we have a kaiju fight in the background.
Yeah.
with the Hercules Legendary Journeys type CGI back there, and then Moon Knight is turning back and forth from Mr. Knight to regular Moon Knight to Steven to Mark, blah blah blah, and it's just it's like a roller coaster tonally, and but how do you reconcile that with this dark story of a mercenary who was dying and then becomes the avatar of this psycho god? It's such a
it's
weird.
It's very Spawnish if you think about it. Even though, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
No, I was just saying the juxtapositions don't really work. They don't. None of them really ring true together. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's because it's very Spawn-like if you think of it in that way. Even though I think Moon Knight, of course, came first, but it's very like this guy's dying, and a crazy entity comes to him, is like, "Hey, you want to live?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, word." And then he's like, "Well, you have to work for me." And then, so,
and even that, right? So he dies trying to save I forget.
Khonshu.
No, he dies trying to save, what's his wife's name?
Layla.
Layla.
Yeah.
He dies trying to save Layla's father from Bushmen, and like he's a mercenary though, right? Like they paid you to do whatever Bushman says, but you have the like Mark Spector doesn't really have a heart of gold, but he like, unless I could see if they put it in there like, okay, then he broke and Steven appeared and that's how he got shot. That to me would have been a cool like little creative decision there, instead of hardcore Mark getting shot. And then we learn that Mark is not even really the hardcore one. Like it's just too much. Like,
well, and that actually brings up one of my other points that because I did like some things about this show, so I don't want to be too negative, but the other negative thing I have to say about this show is that you never know who the show is trying to tell you is good or bad. You ever notice that? Like even in the end, even in the finale, it's like Khonshu and Amit are having a conversation, and it's like, you can't judge people before they do something bad. And she's like, we're only going to judge the same people. And I'm like, wait a minute, pause there for a second. Are we saying that they're both going to kill the same people anyways? like, is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Is like, it's only about when they die? That's weird. That's weird. Because that's not what I thought the show was going to be about.
Yeah, because
so, like,
at first it did seem like a fate versus, I don't know, choice, or I'm probably articulating it wrong, but like a fate
like versus adjudication. Like,
yes.
Yeah. Similar
like
to Minority Report. You know, the whole thing of like, well, yeah, they saw me do this, but are you super sure I was going to do this? Like, exactly. Or like, because just because they saw me do it doesn't mean that, and I haven't done it. So can you persecute me for what I haven't done? But then at the same time, you do have the stats of people saying, well, hey, look, crime is down 92.5%. So then it's like, well, I mean, but still, what do you do with those people that didn't really murder anybody yet?
Right. Yeah, because if you contrast that with my favorite season of Daredevil, which was season 2, right? Where you had Frank Castle, and there was Frank Castle's opinion about how you fight crime. And then there was Daredevil's opinion about how you fight crime. And then they were going back and forth. And that was, at least I understood what their criteria was for behaving the way that they were going to behave. And there was no idea that they could see the future, right? They were just going to do the best with what they could at that time. And one of them was going to be ultra violent, and the other one was going to be ultra violent, but not kill anybody. And in this show, it was kind of like, okay, so I'm not sure who you're saying is actually good here. Like, I'm not sure, which by the way, I'm okay with the gray. And like, that's why season 2 of Daredevil was my favorite, when we have two opinions that are in conflict with one another. But in this show, I was like, it ends and I'm like, I guess Stephen Grant is good, and I guess Layla's good, but is Mark Spector good or bad? And like, Jake Lockley, is he good or bad? And like, why, we can get into this too, but the other thing was, how could Mark Spector be balanced when they hadn't even dealt with Jake Lockley yet? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's why I think a lot of people like episode 5, and me to a certain degree, because emotionally, we finally got, okay, so this is what this is about. Finally, after 4 episodes, we finally get what's going on in his head. So that's a huge deal. So we did get the kind of like the closure for like, what? Okay, so what's going on? But you get the hippo, then you get, even Lady Lisa asked, she was like, okay, so why are both of them showing up? Because one is just a DID. So how are they both showing up? And how can one need to be saved? Because she shouldn't even be able to see, both of them shouldn't even appear in this way because it's just one physical being. But we needed the show to happen this way. That's why.
Well, so Steven was like the heart of the show.
Right.
And they needed to have him be a person, even though that may or may not be how DID works. I was reading a review and the reviewer was talking about DID doesn't work this way. Like, and they just let it go halfway through because they needed to keep that heart and to keep everybody loved Steven. He made people cry, so they didn't want to have that be a figment, I guess. Even though they were like, he's a figment.
He's a figment.
Weird. But okay, so if Steven's a real person too, then so is Jake. And he's crazy. He's like a monster, right? Like,
but he finally got the work done in the end. Like, he finally got it done. Like, you'll never
here's
kill
my
me.
question.
You don't have the heart.
Here's my question, right? and this is why I kind of didn't like the stinger, because I was like, why didn't he just kill him when he had him beat? Like when we switched and he had, why did he leave and then Mark wakes up? Like, he had him beat, just kill him. What's the difference? Also, Ethan Hawke, man, like, I love Ethan Hawke in everything but this. Like, he is amazing in Predestination. He is amazing in like everything. And then he does this and it's kind of like, so where's the there? Like, what is he supposed to be? Who is he supposed to be? What is he supposed to be doing? He's just walking around with the cane. He's talking real low and Amit, she's the greatest. Like, why does a person like him even like Amit for the god, other than to spite Khonshu, which they probably should have made that more of a thing. I feel like that's more interesting.
He brought it up a couple times, but as we make a statement about Jake Hoyt, I want to make sure that people remember how great he was in Training Day, but like how interchangeable.
Ethan Hawke is good in like everything now. Like, I didn't like back in the 90s, I wasn't like a Ethan Hawke fan, but like old Ethan Hawke, old man Hawke, it's a beast.
So I think I'll bring this up. I think that the hippopotamus in the room. All right. Hollywood has always had an issue. Not even an issue. Okay. Hollywood has always wanted to kind of like Europeanize Egypt. And I made a joke about this being Moon Knight Gods of Egypt. Oh no. And it's not, I mean, okay. It's not the worst. All right. It's not the worst. But it is kind of grating when you got the hippopotamus come through and then she's got the British accent and then we're like, hey, well, look at the other avatars. It's like, hold up, well, let's look at their surroundings. It's like, I want people to know, like, we're in Africa. And the idea is that, you know, these are Egyptian and then therefore by extension, African gods. And the people that would most likely be worshiping them and be like, I guess, open to being possessed or I guess taken by them or used by them would probably be people that area. And it just, because I'm watching it and I'm like, okay,
Are
man.
You trying to say black people?
Look, it's just.
So, I don't think that's the most grating thing, actually, about it.
It just kind of got to me like a little, but then when I saw other people online saying that, I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. But then I was like, Hollywood does this.
All the time. The most grating thing for me about the avatars and the Egyptian gods is when we get Asgard, they're in full regalia. It's like Hela has, her helmet to the sky,
the spiky things.
Right, and Anthony Hopkins has the thing. He's like, I'm Odin, and I got a patch on my eye, and it's gold, and everything is gold, and I'm dripped out. And then we get Moon Knight gods, and it's like dudes in suits.
It's like
it's like 12 Bond villains.
I work at Sears, but in my off time, I also Moon Knight as like one of the gods.
Right. No, it's like I work in investment banking, and then I come and turn Khonshu into stone. Like that's what I do. Like I feel like they could have been a tad bit more creative, and I'm with you. Like culturally more creative would have probably taken us out of people having to be in suits. But for some reason, they just went the
regular Hollywood way. They were like,
and I was underwhelmed by the cave that they were just chilling in. Like I was like, man, maybe like when the avatars show up and they're finally doing their trial of Khonshu, that the actual cave turns into like this lighted, amazing, godlike place. But why not?
This is like it's just old and it's sand, and that's it.
Like, why would I come there? I'd be like, I don't want to go to the Avatar meetings.
That's what I feel about Namor at the Illuminati meeting. That's the only reason he cool. Because there was like, yo, man, look, there's a new Doctor Strange here. We gotta stop. I ain't going that. And then you hear like, oh man, I'm sorry. Guess we gotta get some new members.
I'm gonna say something positive at some point.
I will too. Because it's not that the movie wasn't all bad, or the show wasn't all bad, but I kind of only liked about 2 episodes. So I'm just getting this out of my system. Right. Hollywood, please, just Egypt is in Africa. It just is, man. That's where it's at. Like, come on, man. Like, stop it. Like you had your time when you had Elizabeth Elizabeth Taylor. You had your time, man. Now, I mean, people have like access to the internet. Like you can see pictures of over there. It's like, come on.
I will say one other thing that I wish they had done, and then I can talk positive stuff, because there's only one other thing that bothered me, and it's just the comparison. Did you guys see Peacemaker?
Yes. Well,
you haven't seen it,
first. First.
I don't care about sports.
Episode.
Okay.
the first
you saw
episode.
just the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't spoil it, but I'll just say this: the backstory that gets Peacemaker to be where he gets to is incredibly similar to Moon Knight's. So the other issue that I had was that there was very little foreshadowing, and this is one of the other reasons why I have so many problems with episode 5. Yes, it was the emotional heart of getting the characters to be where they needed to be emotionally. However, if you watch Peacemaker, every episode builds because they keep doing flashbacks throughout the entire series. So you don't get to this like, I'm confused about what's going on, episode 5 explanation, right? Like you get them all sprinkled in as you're going, so that when the big event happens, you go, oh, now I get it. I see how this is built up to this. And this one, I just thought maybe it just kind of jumped to the conclusion as opposed to building to the conclusion. So I kind of wish we would have gotten a little bit more of that, because really the only thing that was ever hinted at is that Steven thinks that he's calling his mom and leaving messages and actually has a relationship with her, but actually doesn't, right? Like that's the only foreshadowing that we get that what's going to happen actually happens. So that's that. But I will say this: I really did enjoy the interaction. I mean, this proves that Oscar Isaac is an amazing actor. I mean, when he would switch from one character to another just with his eyes, his eyes and his facial structure. And I did think that the emotional heart was like, even when it didn't make sense, it at least was worth seeing the emotional beats for what they were. So I liked that part of it, about the relationship between Steven and Mark and how they associated with one another. I thought that was really well done, and it primarily is an Oscar Isaac thing, in my opinion.
Okay, and I'll throw something. Let's talk nice.
Some nice talk.
Let's talk nice. The actors, I believe, for the most part. Layla, she came through. Oscar Isaac definitely came through. Even at the beginning of the show, in the very beginning of the show, you see like Steven, and because I'm thinking, oh, we're gonna get Mark Spector. So it's like Steven was like, I don't know why he acted like that, but whatever. And then like a Breezy come through and she like, oh, I'm gonna see you tomorrow night. And I was like, oh, snap. I see you now. And he like, I don't know what she talking about. And I'm like, huh? And the way they jumped from real to like, well, or from this person's life to that person's life and back and forward, I was like, oh, this is cool. Cause they're doing a great job of like literally like editing that, like he turns around or whatever, and then it's like, hold on. Where are all these dead guys? Now, with that said, even though I thought that was creative, y'all think y'all slick about taking all the violence out. Yeah, thought y'all was slick. It's like, oh, well, if we just cut back and they're laying on the ground, they know he's strong. No, show, don't tell. Show.
It works great to illustrate, the DID, being a layperson and not actually knowing how it works. But I thought it worked great to illustrate that in the first few episodes. But after a while, it's just like it's cheap. It gets cheap.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it sort of. Oh man, I know we're talking nice. Okay, so I did like it, and I do like how well Oscar Isaac pulls it off. But it does not only feel cheap, it kind of feels gimmicky to a certain degree the longer it goes on. Especially after he's like, okay, I'm balanced, I'm past this. I'm like, cool, go back and just be full Mark, even though we find out then, Jake is there too or whatever. But it's like, cool, just be whole Mark and you're perfectly together and you've dealt with your past and everything, and now you can be strong Mark. And it's like, no, I must go back to get Steven. And I'm like, but Steven isn't real. And I even said that. I was talking to the TV. I was like, but Steven isn't real.
Technically, wherever you go, Steven is, right?
Like yeah. You are. So even the thing in the sand was kind of weird. Maybe that was a mental projection of his thoughts of Steven? I don't know. See, you shouldn't have to do
it's him reconciling that whole issue.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, but I said I was gonna be nice.
Yes.
I like the suit design.
Yes.
I thought it was really cool to sort of have a Moon Knight mummy kind of thing going on there. I thought when they had fights, they were pretty cool. Let's see what else nice I can say about it.
There were a couple shots in the fights, during the fights, that were very comic book panel-esque, right? Like episode 2 has a moment where he's running along the rooftop and they show it, and the way that they said it was like, oh, that's legit. It looks like a comic book. And then at the end when Moon Knight and Ethan Hawke's character Arthur Harrow are running at each other with the moon in the background, like that was like, oh, that's a comic book panel right there.
Yeah.
Oh, when he flips over the car and he does the
that
was really cool. That's really
so yeah. So we did get some of those, like even like when Layla popped the wings. Yeah. So we did get some cool moments, and even with no Tyler Bennett. We're gonna talk about Tyler Bennett's comments in a second, but even with a couple of moments with having a kaiju fight in the back and another fight in the foreground and both of them going on, it was cool that was happening, but I really wish I would have spent a little bit more time on because it kind of reminded me of like Power Rangers a little bit. How like
it was so Rita. It was like Goldar back then. I saw Addie Granov's character design on IG for Amit, and man, they should have did that. Like it's
oh,
like
see, I haven't seen that.
It has little nuanced differences that make all the difference. Like she looks more like a crocodile, and it's just such a solid horror design. I was like,
hold up, this is what,
that's what Addie designed. Yeah,
this is Marvel. Like, I mean, I know, because I know Disney. Oh man. Because that design is a whole. We're talking about a whole different.
I don't think
a whole different bad, tone and a whole different voice actress.
Addie's just went so much more hardcore though, right? Like, I thought that fit the tone or the theoretical tone Moon Knight a lot better.
Yeah, well, and what you were just gonna say, Mike, what you were gonna say about the I didn't mind the voice performer. But I thought they were unfair to the voice performer because the after effect that they use on Khonshu makes him sound crazy powerful.
Yeah.
But the after effect they use on Amit, I'm like, you didn't get quite there. Like Khonshu sounds way more powerful than she does. She should have a more resonant voice there. So, but I thought that was more of an effect than the voice performer specifically. So, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, the way, okay, hold on, being nice. The way they, even though I didn't, oh man, okay, these scenes were my favorite in the mental institution, but those small little nods and parallels to be like, okay, hold up, so did all this stuff happen or is this stuff not happening? They did an awesome job of that. You know, like you look around the room, you see the little, the small Egyptian figures, the mask and stuff. You see Hero, even Hero is like, you lying? You BSing me? Like, where you at? I can't really nail you down wherever. I don't know what, in his, I guess his experience in the chair being wheeled around, people coming to him. So they did an awesome job of playing with the what is real, what's not, is he crazy or is he not part? But I did think they also spent too much time in that institution.
I think that hurts them a little bit too, though, because at the end, so Jake shows up and Harrow's in the institution. I thought the institution was in Mark's mind, right?
Yeah.
Or, like there's now a real institution that they put Harrow in, and why would they do that in the first place? It's kind of weird. The stinger was weird. I'm supposed to be being nice.
Yeah, because it's like we talk about something good, and then we're like, hold up.
Yeah, wait a minute.
That gives me another question.
Exactly. Well, I will say this though. I will say this in defense of the creators. I feel like Disney did two things that I thought were strange, and I could be wrong about this, but first, I felt like it should have been at least 8 episodes, not 6. Because they could have drawn out some of the things that they were leading up to that felt like they were rushed to me. Secondly, I don't know how much the creators had to do with the editing and how they pieced together the show, but it's an oddly edited show in my opinion. Like, for example, episode 4, which was my favorite episode, because I love Indiana Jones. I got the poster behind me on the wall, but I love Indiana Jones. That felt super Indiana Jones to me, right? Layla is Indiana Jane. I'm in. Like, just let's make that movie. But the issue I had was you could have ended episode 4 with Mark Spector getting shot, so that's the end of that episode. And then in episode 5, we lead with them in the mental institution. But instead they said kind of like, it's almost like we need a preview of episode 5 in episode 4, as if people aren't going to come back. So like we need to put all of that stuff into episode 5. And I just felt like again, that happened several times where it was like in Mandalorian, we're getting episodes that are about, some of them are 29 minutes long. Some of them are like 45 is like one of the longest episodes, maybe 50 minutes, but most of them are around 35 minutes. This show, all of them are around 50 minutes just right off the bat. And I thought, you know what? That speaks to a very different type of editing that you're trying to accomplish. And if you just space this out a few more weeks, I think you would have had a more consistent show. I bet you there's a lot of scenes on the cutting room floor that they could have put in. So in defense of the creators, it felt a little bit like it was either rushed or somebody took over and said it's got to be this way instead of the way that they intended. Maybe
it's weird that they do that with the Marvel shows too, because like you would think that they because it's a show, you want to give it whatever breathing room it needs. I mean, I mean, I don't know what Disney's budget concerns are, but like,
I mean, they have all the money.
Yeah, I was about to say they have all the money, so why not just let it breathe?
Well, not only that,
and that's like a thing about Marvel shows too. Like they have that thing where they're like sprinting at the end.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, we gotta make up the time.
Yes.
And I'm like, then why meander in the middle so much?
Exactly.
Yeah, you could
totally agree.
Kind of like spend your time in the middle instead of just kind of like playing around and dilly-dallying, if you will. You can actually tell a story. And, see Disney coming after me. See how it happened? Speak of Disney
like
and their appeal.
Jay's talking about the Mandalorian, and especially Mandalorian season 2. I don't vouch for season 1, but Mandalorian season 2, tight.
Yes.
Yes. Like so amazing. Like I had to eat. Well, I didn't eat crow, but I had to eat some of my words about. I never eat crow, but season 2 made me a believer, is what I'm saying.
Nice.
And like you said, it's different episode lengths, but even every episode is still this tight piece of work that gets you where you need to go, and the tone is all the way through straight even.
Yeah,
like they need to take some cues from Favreau and the guys.
Well, I think Clement, I can't remember who brought it up the other night when Jay was with us. They brought up like, get some of the women to direct this, under Disney. And I was like, you got Bryce Dallas Howard, you got Deborah Chow, but they fixing Star Wars right now. So like Marvel, I got love for you, but like you cool. Like, I got my issues with Moon Knight, but by and large, you're doing okay. Star Wars needs them. So we're going to, you can use them, but no, Star Wars needs them right now. Let's get these shows back up. Let's get it back popping. Then Deborah Chow can come over. Then, Bryce Dallas Howard can come over.
I mean,
but for right now,
it's working jobs and stuff, right? Like, I mean, if you need somebody from IT to come up and fix the computers, you call IT. Like, let's go.
Star Wars need all the help they can get. Now, at the same time, Star Wars, I know people still mad about those movies, all right? The movies, look, hey, 7, 8, 9, they're there now. They're here, all right? But there have been solid performances on the animation side and the live action side that have bolstered. Look, we're back. Not back in the way that like Star Trek is back, because Star Trek is like they're a well-oiled machine now. They're
running.
It also took them a while. It took them a long while, but they're Star Wars, they're gonna need the best directors they can get right now. They need.
Take it from a Star Wars casual. Mandalorian season 2 kind of erases a lot of sins. And I'm highly critical of everything and Star Wars, but Mando season 2 did his thing, and it didn't even. What was cool about Mando season 2 that I really liked, the last few episodes weren't even necessarily about Mando. He didn't necessarily save the day per se, but they did a great juggling act with Mando and then our loves from the past and our loves from Mando present. Like, I mean, they did a great job. Shout out to Mandalorian season 2. Your boy like
Mando season 2, that's hot. You know what I'm saying? The very final season of Clone Wars was hot. Let's see, Bad Batch was hot. Even though the first episode, I was not on the side of Boba Fett, but I turned Boba Fett. I'm not saying it's hot, but it's a warm flame. Like if you got a gas stove, you know how you put it like on like 6, where it's like you burn up your food. Like Boba Fett is like on like 4, like 3.5, 4. So it's still like, you know what? Okay, we're there. Okay.
It's not Mando hot, but I will say it's more even than Moon Knight.
Yes,
it is even. Yeah, it is even. I think so. Part of the problem with Star Wars, and I hope that this isn't happening with Marvel, because Marvel, the last year of Marvel has been pretty spotty, right? Like we get some good, we get some bad. Like it's just kind of all over the place. The problem with Star Wars is that they don't know who to appease. They have original trilogy fans, they have prequel trilogy fans, now they have sequel trilogy fans, and they're like, and by the way, when I say that there are those kind of fans, they like the one thing. There's very few people that like all of Star Wars. Yeah, exactly. So then it's like, well, who do we appease? And so they're trying to figure out, they're trying to go back and forth. So I hope that they solve that problem, right? They need to figure out what Star Wars is and be like, hey, if you don't like this, then see you later, because this is what it is now. Marvel, I think, has done a really good job of being like, Marvel is for the comic book hardcore fans, but we're going to draw in the general audience. And my worry is that the farther we go along in this, the more they're going to say it's definitely for the hardcore fans, because we're bringing in Celestials and Eternals, and we even brought back the Inhumans, like they're back in it now too. And so all of that going on, I hope that they don't like forget the general audience. That's my only thing with where Marvel is right now.
I feel like the issue, I feel like more of an issue that it doesn't seem to have a vision, and that's why it's so spotty. Like to me, it feels like they're just throwing noodles at the wall to see which ones stick. Now, and then they're trying to capitalize off the ones that stick, but they have to run to capitalize off the ones that stick, right?
Yeah.
The first, the Infinity Saga, even though they had a couple outliers and stuff like that, and they took a lot of chances, but once they decided that the Infinity Saga is gonna be what it is, and I think that's probably around the time of 2012 Avengers, it stuck the landing because it stayed true to the vision, and it had an actual vision. And I feel like now we don't know which kind of multiverse we want to do. We don't know if Loki multiverse is it with Kang, or Spider-Man multiverse, just kind of random Spider-Man-ness, or Multiverse of Madness where we have the Illuminati and stuff like that. And I feel like if it was all one vision, and I think they're starting to coalesce with Doctor Strange, but I think if it from the start, if they had that one vision, then it would feel more, more even, more cohesive. And that's what we're looking for. That's what they sold us. 11 years, that's what they sold us. Like, to be continued, to be continued, to be continued. This is the story. And now it's kind of like broken up. And I guess it's smart to try to get different footholds, but they're all not panning out, and it's rough to watch sometimes.
I wonder if, and I think Jay said this the other night, I can't remember. Do you think, or could it be that it's just that this is the transition period? So it seems, like, it's like, okay, cool. Thanos is gone. Thanos is dead. You have like this time where you're like moving over to Kang, but you have to like get there. And then once we're like aimed at Kang, then like everything will lock into place. And, like there's some movies that had to be done. Like they had to do Black Widow,
But the question is, are they aiming it at Kang though? Like, and it's hard for me to think that they to glean if they are, because okay, we know Kang is going to show up in Quantumania, but then what? And is Quantumania going to be that big in terms of the overall story? Because it seems like Multiverse of Madness is like a like a what do you call it? An anchor point.
Yeah.
You know? But then if that's the anchor point and strangers are the villains or whatever, then what does Quantumania have to do with it, and what does Kang have to do with it? And I feel like they should totally go Kang, but I'm not confident though.
I think
we
that you
knew
should
they
take.
were going Thanos.
I think we should take that clip of Jason talking about Vision and put #wisdom over that and just put it out there, because that is actually exactly right. Like when the vision is solidified, and it's true for Star Wars, because why did the sequel trilogy run into problems? Because you had J.J. Abrams with one idea, you had Rian Johnson with a completely different idea, and then J.J. Abrams was like, what do I do with this? And then you get what you get.
But that was J.J. Abrams' fault in the first place. He ran when criticism came. And then he came back to try to finish it up and act like, oh, well, this is what I had. Well, you should have stayed and finished whatever vision you were working with. But then also says, hey, we didn't know what we were doing. We know that.
We know that.
I mean, can't you say that the problem is that there was no vision in general? They just set out to remake New Hope and hope that it worked.
Yeah.
And that's kind of not a way to do a trilogy.
It seemed like Disney came to J.J. Abrams and was like, look, bring Star Wars back. Just bring it back.
You hot. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Just bring it back, make it hot. And it's like, oh, well, okay, all right. Okay, let's take a piece of this, a little piece of this, remix that real quick. All right, cool. Here you guys go. It's kind of a New Hope. And people are like, all right. Even I was like, you know what? I didn't love this, but I get it. We got to get this to get back on the track. Cool, I get it.
But see, we don't though. We don't have to do that. I've explained this to you several times.
Yeah. No, I mean, business-wise, I can see them saying we got to do this to get the people that hated the prequels back on board. I can see a business decision for that.
Nostalgia is fine. Throw in some fan service, but man, for the love of God, create a new story.
That. So Star Wars.
I hope that's. Oh, go ahead.
To finish. Well, to give some advice to Star Wars, I will tell them what Nas said in one of his newer albums, probably King's Disease Part 2. Where he was like, look, if you want the old stuff, go listen to the old stuff. They need, because on the low, people was like looking at Nas like he was down bad. And then in 2021, he dropped 3 albums and it's like, nah, I still got it. So, but he also said, if you want the old stuff, go back to listen to Illmatic. Go back to listen to It Was Written. I am not 20 anymore. You know what I'm saying? So Star Wars needs to do that. Be like, look, we know you love the original trip. We do too. But you need to go watch that. We making new stuff.
And be confident in knowing that, one, you're Disney, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Thanks, just do it again. But also, people can gravitate towards new things. People are rabid for Mando. Yeah. And that's an entire the boon of Mando is that it's a new thing in the universe. You can do it. You just need the right people.
Yeah.
I love J.J. Abrams. Don't get me wrong. That's my man. Bad Robot makes a lot of my favorite movies, but maybe he just wasn't the guy at that point in time. Usually he has a ton of great ideas, but for some reason, episode 7 was just rehash after rehash after rehash. I was like, why are you doing this? And why is Luke not there full force, super force power Luke?
And then you shortchanged my boy. You know what I'm saying? And then you made him a janitor. Don't get me started. Oh, Jason, we could be here for another 2 hours talking about all right, so this is how Finn could have went.
I don't know if Jay wants us to get into it like that.
Well, see, Jay knows it too, so Jay can, because I even remember saying, oh, the Force Awakens, I get it, because all you have these three people instead of, and they kind of sort of did it. They made a dyad in the Force between Kylo and Rey. I was thinking, oh, okay, so because you have Finn who just broke himself out of the hold of, so I'm like, okay, so he has the Force and it works that way. Rey has the Force and it works this way. And then Poe has the Force and it works this way. I get it, the Force awakens. Oh, because there's so much badness, the Force had to kind of like force itself to kind of manifest on the other side to balance out. But that one won't done.
What's more illustrative of the is that even a word? What illustrates the Force awakening more than a damn stormtrooper awakening to the Force? That would have been brilliant. But you know, he was comedy relief. Whatever.
Of all the people that they did dirty in that sequel trilogy, they did Finn the dirtiest.
Finn got no love, man.
They were setting him up to be a key part of the love story. They were setting him up to be, and then it was like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Like, sorry, he's on a side quest. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because
they had a love triangle set up. Dude had
the way it was set up, it's easy to see. Oh yeah, him and Rey were supposed to get together, but it seemed like at the last minute they were like,
Yeah, but you know why? Because it
do
goes
we want
back
to go
to the
interracial though? they were like,
well, that was too when everybody started going into the full Reylo thing. Do you remember the Reylo thing? How ridiculous Reylo was? And that's when it just went sideways. It was like, now we got to make this. And then they put them together in the end and nobody liked it anyways. So it didn't even work. Yeah. Anyways. But so back to the Vision comment, because I think the problem that I think is happening with Marvel, because I'll go Star Wars with you guys literally all night long, like just set an alarm for the morning. I'm down. But the thing with Marvel that I'm wondering about is that it feels like they do lack vision. I totally agree with that comment. Kevin Feige is still there, so I have trust that he knows where things are going. But I feel like what they're kind of trying to do is reset everything. But as they reset everything, they go, oh, but I still want you to buy tickets. So Loki's in this thing. Right. Jeremy Renner and Hawkeye, he's in this thing, even though he's not the future. Right. But like, so I think I'm hoping what they're not doing is like confusing their audience and thinking that the audience is thinking like, well, we're going to carry these characters forward. Because I think what they're trying to suggest to us is that there's the new characters and that's what we're moving forward with, but we need you to let go of the old characters. And I'm not sure that the general audience is going to be able to do that very well. And the pandemic messed them up because now they have their release schedules out of order. Everything's delayed. And so now it's harder to see what the vision even is. And I totally agree. It's like, it feels like a lack of vision, but I'm just wondering how much of that is, like, we wouldn't have known there was a vision back in the Iron Man days when we were going to build up to these things, but those were solid films, and I'm not sure they've given us solid films.
And we did get hints, like Nick Fury showing up at the end of Iron Man was a big hint.
Big
but
deal.
Like, I also feel like, so take Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson is illustrates this really well because we want him to be Captain America. But Bucky's hanging around. Like, I feel like they need to make decisions again. Like, he's Captain America. He's gonna lead the guys now since he's the next generation. And
well, I mean, they kind of set it in stone in the show, sort of, when he gave that like lukewarm speech, the stern talking to.
Super soldier serum. He doesn't have a super soldier serum, so he can barely fight anybody. And Bucky's there to save his ass every time. It's a crutch. Like, Cap didn't have that, and Cap is technically the weakest Avenger, but he's the guy. He's the go-to guy. When Cap shows up on the scene, even when he was gone for like 18 months, Cap showed up and they was like, "Oh my God, we're saved!" Like, and if they don't do that. I'm not saying they have to do it in the same way for Sam, because Sam's an entirely different person. However, Sam, if they're gonna make Sam the guy, he needs to be the guy. And to me, that shows that they're not making decisions anymore. There's not an overall vision. They don't know who's gonna be the guy. Clearly, Thor is not the guy because he's having a 1,000-year crisis or whatever.
Yeah, Thor wants to lay down his arms. Doctor Strange is kind of being everybody's surrogate dad.
Well,
Papa Strange.
You know how I feel about Strange 1. However, Strange could be a great anchor, though. He's been in several films. He saved the world a couple of times, and Cumberbatch is showing that he can do the leading man thing. Like, it's like I thought they were gonna go Captain Marvel, but now it seems like they're backing away from Captain Marvel a little bit, and then Captain Marvel in Multiverse, kind of did dirty. So it's like, are they going the Young Avengers route? And I'm not saying we necessarily need like a team. We don't necessarily need to do the Avengers again, but I feel like we don't have our heroes for when the villains come, and we don't even have a villain. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels so up in the air, and it's hard for me to get behind it because it seems that way.
Or maybe show us heroes that are like, whoo, man, things are kind of crazy, but look, at least we over the hump. We ain't never got to worry about nothing like that again. Like, there's some gangsters here and there. We'll mop them up over time, but thank God we're past such and such and such. And then we can be like, oh yeah, because that's why this is going on, because they're all lax, because they're like, hey, the world is saved. We brought everyone back. Now we can kind of just rest a little bit, maybe train some, relax with our families, because there's no way there's another Thanos. There's no way there's some kind, because we've dealt with it. We fixed the universe and we're fine.
Nobody's even searching though. Like, before Thanos,
you got Sword, but they're not
life
really
on other planets. And then Thanos comes and shows us, hell yeah, there's life on other planets. So somebody should be out there, and it's not gonna be the Guardians because they clowns, but somebody should be out there like, hopefully this doesn't happen. I mean, Rashad said Iron Man gave his life for y'all to act like this. like Iron Man was trying to build a suit of armor around the world so that this doesn't happen. And I feel like, where's Fury, man?
Well, he's supposed to be working with, I guess, Sword in space, protecting the Earth, but we never check in with him at all. We never check in.
And then we do the Talos thing, and it's like, oh, well, Fury's a joke now. Like, what? I'm just saying, I get the bathos. I get the funny. We definitely need it to ease tension, but where's the damn tension? Like,
yes. Okay, before I get to I'll do the final thoughts next. I'll say this. Marvel has a problem with allowing heavy moments to be heavy. Just let them be. Sometimes a moment can be heavy and it can be all right. Like, it's okay for someone to deal with something tough. It's like, here's something tough. Laugh now. It's like, but I didn't finish feeling the heavy emotion. Like, you threw me a joke after I found out, like, my mom, my dad, my favorite cousin, and my dog died yesterday. But now it's like a joke. Like, come on, man. But with that said, back to Moon Knight.
Sorry.
In his place, I guess, okay, I'll ask you this. On Moon Knight, in his place amongst MCU as well as the other Marvel Knights, how are you feeling we come out? How are you feeling about his show, his impact, where you would like to see him next? Anything like that.
Well, to carry forth what Jason just said, because Jason just helped me understand something that I didn't realize I needed to understand. And essentially it is, and this is the reason I said it feels like we're in a transition phase, but I didn't know why I felt that way. Jason just explained it. Because what we don't know is that we don't know. So the vision is the bigger picture. We don't know what that bigger picture is, but also it's hard to get behind the people that they've been giving us because they have not been putting them in those hero seats. So the Black Widow film, if you're telling me that I'm supposed to have said that Black Widow is good to go, put her to rest, and now I'm rooting for her sister, you haven't put her in the hero seat. I don't feel like she's the person I'm supposed to root for. If you tell me Moon Knight's in the hero seat, I go, he doesn't seem like it. Even the last scene you gave me feels like he's not even ready to address his own problems. Same thing with Eternals. It feels like I don't know who on that team's supposed to be in the hero seat. Like every single movie you go through, the only one that I can say for sure, there's two of them that I can say that I understand where the hero seat is supposed to be. One is Spider-Man, which is crazy because that's Sony, not Disney. And I understand that because they said, here were the two old guys. Let's put them to rest without giving up Tom Holland as the future of what Spider-Man is. Then I would say also that I think Hawkeye, despite the fact that it's not my favorite Disney Plus show, I liked it, but it's not my favorite. I think that what they're saying is Kate Bishop is the next one. And I think that that's pretty clear. But all the other ones, like even Loki, I'm not ready to give up Tom Hiddleston as Loki. Like, is there somebody else that I'm supposed to gravitate towards? So I'm not ready to give that up. And I think that I could easily get on board with Sam, but to Jason's point, they didn't really put him in that seat quite yet. So if they were to do that, I'd be on board with it. Yeah. yeah.
Man, there was so much more going on in that thing than the speech. How they killed off the best character in the show. The Flag Smasher, like she was amazing. She's an amazing foil and also sort of co-character to push Sam to be the Captain America he needs to be, and they kill her off like ridiculous. She could have helped put him in the position because she challenges his, I'm a Black American and I gotta do it for this country because my slaves and all that. She needed her to say, hold on, bruh, there's a bigger world out here and things are going on that you need to actually think about rather than, just being Captain America. And they kill a character off. But no, did I interrupt you, Jay? Because I didn't mean
No. That I was done. I just, you helped me realize that because I didn't realize that part of it was because when Iron Man ends, I am Iron Man. Oh, this dude's a hero. I'm behind him. And even when Thor ends, he's now worthy again, right? Like it's every single one of those early films, they set it up so it didn't feel like a transition because nothing had come before. So everybody was set up. They teed it up for a future vision that was going to be accomplished. Right now, it's hard to see what they're teeing up. You kind of get glimpses of it, but you kind of still think to yourself like, well, what are they telling me? Because in the absence of making Sam the Captain America we want Sam to be, I just still want Steve Rogers back.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't want Steve Rogers back if Sam was legit. So could make him legit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
And these movies, again, they sold us the cliffhanger. They sold us the, wait a minute, there's more. And comics in general are to be continued. Yep. So I should have an idea to whet my appetite about what's gonna come next. So I know where to point. Like Eternals, like you have these guys, the Celestials, floating around doing whatever they want. And a lot of that stuff is to human detriment, much less the universe, and nobody's checking for them.
But now they left. Well, some of them left Earth, and the other ones are just not doing nothing no more. Like,
the Eternals aren't heroes, so I'm not looking for them to step up per se. And the movie didn't do a good job of making them heroes, but somebody sees that Celestial doing this in the Atlantic.
Yeah, nobody's sitting around like, hey man, like they messed up shipping routes and everything. Like
a lot of people on Earth saw that Celestial, Arishem or whoever, like standing over the Earth, and he literally just came out of a black hole. Like they can do whatever they want. So where's Tony to say, or whoever Tony's equivalent is, to say, this is a problem, dudes. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
I feel like maybe not everybody needs that, but I totally need that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I need.
All right, Disney. Listen close. All right, I know y'all watch the show. It's not just Tyler Bennett being crazy in the chat.
I can hear the
I know.
growing pain music right now.
Disney, listen. Captain America is now the spiritual leader of the team. Regardless of whether he's the strongest or not, he's the one who's always got his head on straight, always has the plan, is always dependable and there when you call on him. Hawkeye talks to Captain America and they realize, hey, just like Lethal Weapon, we getting too old for this. Hawkeye, can you do me a solid and find me some youth? Because we ain't gonna be here forever. Endgame showed us that. We ain't gonna be here forever. Find me some, and he'll be like, you know what? I got an idea. And he'll be like, I do too. This kid, you know, this Isaiah, I was chilling with this kid. I think boom, and you can shoot that in a day. You shoot that in a day.
Because his one, Hawkeye's one is Kate, right?
Thank you. And then we got Isaiah's grandson.
So the stinger, you just did the stinger. The stinger is Cap walks out with his hands in his pockets from the shadows, like, I don't know, it's getting real out here, Hawkeye. Well, I'm retired, but I got this new kid. And then they show her shooting an arrow. It's, you know, Hawkeye will return in, you know, Quantumania or whatever. I don't know.
Come on, man. Like, come on. What are we doing here? Like, come on. Y'all could have shot that in a day. And y'all wouldn't even need any suits.
Somebody to believe in, man. Give me like Spider-Man. Sadly, has his own damn problems all the time.
Yes,
like
he does.
I thought Far From Home was gonna bring him into the man. I got to be the Tony Stark of this, but in my own way. But they kind of shied away from it. So who's gonna step up, man? We need somebody to step up.
Yep.
Final thoughts on Moon Knight. It was whatever. I don't know that. I mean, I guess they're not doing a season 2. Is that right?
I don't think so.
They haven't said one yet. Yeah, they haven't said.
Yeah. So
if they did do another thing, I mean, it'd be cool if Oscar Isaac showed up in like Blade or something. That might be dope. That'd be cool.
yeah, because I would like to see the Marvel Knights kind of have to do something on their own, and then maybe shepherded by. You can kind of make a connection with Strange because it's going to be supernatural, maybe in nature. Because you got African gods where you also have a doorway to, Wakanda. But Wakanda. Look, Black Panther 2 got its own problems. Throw that out of the way.
if you're gonna do Blade, you're gonna do the Midnight Suns along in tow. Let's go Dracula, man. Let's just do it. Do it.
Yeah, we can.
Dracula has been hiding all these years, and then something with Thanos shook it up, or the Celestial that came out of the ocean pushed the casket.
Like the energy awakened him, and
right. Something. I don't care. Just give me Dracula.
Yeah, let's just get Dracula, and let him be like, you know, like official. Like when I say official, I mean like gallons of blood. I mean like
formidable.
He's Dracula,
right.
man. Like
yeah.
Y'all just gonna have to put a big screen up that says like, hey, look, if you're not 18, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, hey, turn this off. And like leave that up for like a full 60 seconds. Right?
There's so many PG-13 ways around. Like there's PG-13 vampire movies and stuff.
But do you really want a PG-13 Dracula? Like,
look,
do you?
I want Dracula, and I do, you know, I'm a gore person. Like Blade 2, like I would love to get a Blade 2, you know, gore fest or whatever, but or even Blade 1 actually was just hard. I would love to get that, but I don't know that we are. So I'm saying, like, give me, you know, top tier villain level Josh Brolin Dracula, you know. And I'll take PG-13 as long as there's like a lot of action. Like
Okay.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier has a ton of action in it.
Yeah.
And it ain't all PG-13 action. They blowing a couple people up in there. I think we can get away with it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, my final thoughts. I do want Marvel Knights, and now that you brought that up, I do want Midnight Suns in some kind of way because I love supernatural action. So in some kind of way, if we can work it out, like, hey man, Sam Raimi's still here. Hey, he's saying Sam Raimi's still around. You know, he's showing us.
He all the way up right now.
Yo, the stock is rose now. So we got that. A little bit more action. Stop cutting away when it comes to these guys, because if you don't cut away, you'll show the clear difference between these guys and Sam Wilson and Hawkeye and Thor even. You know,
I want to say cutting away from the last battle in a superhero yarn is a major no-no.
Yeah.
I was being nice, so we didn't talk about it, but
oh man. So with that said, I'm gonna throw it to Jay of the Story Geeks. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on the YouTube channel, The Story Geeks, or your podcast feed for The Story Geeks, depending on if you want to listen or watch. And then also, I've got a new book out, Death of a Bounty Hunter. You can check that out. It actually has the audiobook version is starting to hit audiobook stores. So audiobooks.com has the full cast version, 3 different narrators, a total of 11 voice performers voicing 14 roles. We put it together to be a pretty good listen to, and I'd appreciate it if you checked it out. So Death of a Bounty Hunter,
for $15.99? No,
I think I put it for $24.95.
$24.95.
So it's not cheap. It's not cheap,
now.
but
come on,
it's gonna keep you riveted for some hours.
And I'm in it. No, I'm not. I'm not in it.
You should be in the next one. Our mutual friend Megan is in it. She's
Tom
in it.
Cruise is in it. You know, Charlize Theron's in it.
Tom
Will
Cruise
Smith.
is in it.
I understand, but Will Smith is in it.
Tom Cruise is in it, but the way he's in Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's just rumors. It's just rumors, but maybe, you know.
Maybe you might see.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Oh, and shouts to Megan. Megan's dope. She's cool. And right over here, Jason Reeves. Where can they find you?
133art.com is the hub. Do we have any new books out? Yes. One Nation, The Gauntlet is our newest book.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that's our 7th issue of One Nation out so far. Crazy. Also, Chang and the Jade Obelisk 2 drops sometime next weekish. So, you know, keep up with 133 Art. We got a couple books coming. And maybe Kickstarter next
I
month.
should be having stuff hitting my. I have to look at my Kickstarter. Stuff should be hitting my PO box this summer.
You got some stuff coming to you.
But yeah. With that said, could I get you to confirm or deny for us a collected edition hardcover of One Nation on this show?
I can neither confirm nor deny. I will say that if that thing is a thing, there will also be an art book along with that thing. But I don't know. Understood.
So that's dope. One Nation is cool. We got some black comics for y'all after the show. But of course, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that stuff. If you like watching, then watch the show. If you like listening, then listen. But make sure to like. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. All right. Subscribe. You see the links down in the comment. Go down to the links. Share the love. You ain't doing. You're sitting on the couch. You ain't doing nothing. Why don't you share? Why don't you subscribe? Come on. Hey, come on. Look, we're moving on. We're trying to get to what, 5K, then 10K, then 20K. Look, all the K's, all right? We're gonna be in 4K, all right?
We want some M's. Let's go with
yes,
M's.
we try M's from everywhere. Oh man. So with that said, thank you for coming through. We're gonna leave y'all with some black comics, like One Nation, like Crescent City Monsters, like Bitter Root, like Pac Samson, which I will be reading tonight. The finale once again. We got to save Azul. You know, Azul is, he's in danger.
Yeah.
Oh,
working on packs 2.
I can't read it tonight because someone has already went to bed. I didn't know this. Somebody was so tired. They were like, it's got to be tomorrow. But you know what I'm saying? Pac Samson, there's tons of other stuff that just slips my mind. But yes, I'll see it in just a second. So from us to you, thank you for watching and peace. Yeah. And that's for Tyler Bennett, Antoine Allen, Geeky Andre, Stress Free K. Who else? Nisa. And whoever I might have missed. We'll see y'all.
Finish him off! If you can't do it, then maybe you should let someone who can, like me!
Thank you.